Hi, this is Unit 4, Team 6 video conference. I'm Teresa Moore.
And I'm Cindy Rivas. And for today is the standards. We're going to be discussing the standards for teachers, students, coaches, and administrators. And Teresa and I are going to cover them individually.
Okay, I chose to read the Horizon Report 2017 and NMC Technology Outlook for Norfolk Schools. The trends that was focused in this article was students as creators, coding as literacy, and rethinking how school works. I will be elaborating on the important development in technology. The first bullet point is time to adoption horizon, 1 year or less. My main focus is on mobile learning. As we all know that most of our students have all types of technology, such as iPads or tablets, smartwatches, um, Apple TVs, things of that nature. They're saying that mobile devices are increasing due to the technology, and that we can use these devices as a teaching tool to help our students as they're on the go with their learning. The second bullet is time to adoption horizon. Normally, this takes 2 to 3 years. I will be talking about the adaptation learning technology. What this really is just a technology that is geared towards a student's learning. As the student is taking assessments and things like this, the software actually adapts itself to how the student is progressing. I know that we have Think Through Math, and what Think Through Math does for our students is that they take an assessment, they're not able to pass, a new assessment comes on with different types of questions, but doing the same testing skills. The third bullet point is 4 to 5 years, and it's virtual and remote laboratories, which I thought this was really interesting, where the kids are able to log on anywhere as long as they have a internet access, and they can actually do labs virtually. Um, they have all the lab materials there. They perform the labs using computer base. Cindy, I know that you have a math lab for your students. How would you think that this will work with your kiddos?
Well, with my students, like I've said before, it's where they do their homework. And what I like about this program that they don't get to just try the problem once and they're done. They actually get to work the problem 3 times, and if they get it wrong, they get another 3 chances. So they can work on these problems over and over again, or we get to set how many times they get to work on each problem, but I always leave it to infinity. And the other advantage is they see how much time they spent and their average as they go along through each section that they're working on. So
Okay.
that's nice. Mhm.
That's really cool. And then to tie into that is the virtual assistants. And we already know about the famous series. And then we have Amazon. And then we have Amazon that has Electra, where you just speak into a button, ask any type of question, and they're able to look it up for you and give you any type of information. I think that this would be really great in a classroom for the kiddos to be able to do their work on the internet. And if they have any questions, they can ask Siri or they can ask Electra, and that can help them. So whenever they come back to class the next day, I wouldn't have to be like, per se, a teacher. I would be a facilitator because they would have already learned it through a virtual learning based technology.
Nice. For my report, I chose the 2016 Higher Education Edition. And I need to talk about the important developments in educational technology for higher education. And for the first bulletin, which takes about a year or less, instead of discussing the bring your own device, because we've done that maybe a couple times, I'm going to talk about the learning and analytics and adaptive learning. And with the learning and analytics is with it pretty much helps identify at risk kids, reduces the time to degree completion, which is nice. And it's also active learning, which to connect that with Teresa and I, it's more like problem solving. So That's what it does. And with adaptive learning, it's more of a what this course is all about, which is hybrid and online courses. And it's also about you are personalizing the students' learning as well. With the second bulletin, which takes about 2 to 3 years, um, instead of talking about the maker spaces, since we talked about it a few times, I'm going to be talking about the augmented and the virtual reality. With the augmented reality, which Teresa, I actually saw that you had the mixed reality, which is the same thing with augmented reality. It's a blended reality. So I didn't know that until you talked about it. So that was kind of neat. The other thing about that is also layering data over 3D spaces. Neat. And the other thing that I want to connect it to, which other classmates have talked about, is the museums. How museums now are moving to technology as well. So that's another example for augmented reality. And with virtual reality is pretty much a great way for students and administrators to implement, as to students can actually learn about other cultures and visit other places virtually. So that's kind of neat. Teresa, how would you use virtual reality in your classroom?
Actually, this is really cool. I know for this year, our campus got green screens where the kids could have a presentation, and in their background, they could choose anywhere in the world that they want it to be. So one student, she was standing in our classroom, but her background was in London. So I thought that was really cool. And
Yeah.
she did a presentation of London as if she was there visiting London. So I think that was a really good use of like virtual reality.
What place would you have chosen?
Probably Paris. I've never
Really?
been there before.
I would have chosen Spain.
Oh,
That's
yes. See,
I always wanted to go to Spain.
yes.
Neat. Okay, so for the third bulletin, which takes 4 to 5 years, robotics has been talked about. I want to talk about effective computing. With effective computing, it helps with online learner system, and it's program machines to interpret human emotions. So I also want to connect this effective computing with one of my old Horizon reports, whenever with the Chinese Horizon report, back in a couple of units before, whenever the professor made a program that would detect the students' facial
Mhm.
recognition to see if they were bored, and how he would update his curriculum. So that's how I want to connect effective computing. So that's kind of neat.
Okay, that's really cool. Over my takeaway from this articles, from both of our articles, was the virtual technology, virtual reality. I think that's where we're going in this 21st century. For our kids, 2 to 3 years, that'll be a couple of years from now. I'm actually in a training, and we were talking about technology that we have. Um, and only 13% didn't have like Fire Stick or Fitbit. And then we looked at the data from 2 years ago that they took the survey, and 39% did not have either or. So
Oh,
we can
wow.
tell that we're progressing as adults, that we're actually getting more technology savvy as well.
Nice.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. Please feel free to leave us your feedback. Thank
Thank
you.
you.